Thursday, everybody. I hope you're having a good day so far. Looking forward to the weekend coming up. If I'm being a little quiet, that is because at the time of recording for my Thursday episode, it is midnight, and this is the only time that I could record uh, due to my schedule with working this week. Um, and also, maybe coming up with a new podcast schedule. Um, some hours might be changing at work, and I may end up working all day on Mondays. So I'll be working, 12, 13-hour shifts 4 days a week. So I may have to drop one podcast a week and go to only 4 days a week. It just depends. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to have to happen. We'll have to see how it all works out. Um, it may end up working out where I'll still be able to do the 5 days a week. I don't know. But if it does, I will still end up doing, you know, a Bible podcast every Friday. I won't stop doing that. Um, the tomorrow I have a special episode that I did. It's for a specific reason that I chose to do something special for this Friday's episode. It's not a YouTube episode, it's just an audio only episode. So I hope that you'll tune in on Friday for that one. Now, anyway, we are here to cover part two of Bohemian Grove. I said we were going to finish that up on today from Tuesday's episode, which I hope y'all enjoyed. I enjoyed learning about it and reading about it, and I don't know why I pulled that up. But let's do our daily promise. It says, "For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us." Ephesians 2:14. So the unity in Christ is far beyond that which men might craft. It is promised that all Abraham's seed, both Jew and Gentiles alike, are truly of one body, a body of faith. Love your brothers in Christ. Leap to aid each other, even as Christ himself leapt to save you at his own peril. This is the gospel. Okay, so I said that today we were going to look at the JesusIsSavior.com article that was written about Bohemian Grove. I like this guy's website, David J. Stewart. He's pretty knowledgeable, and I really like how he covers things. So he did list a scripture, 1 Corinthians 4:5. "Therefore judge nothing before the time until the Lord come, who both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness, and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts, and then shall every man have praise of God." Of course, he links The Dark Secrets of Bohemian Grove by Alex Jones, and I encourage you to go watch it because I watched it, and it really is very interesting. Um, I don't know what the sound clip is, but it says you are listening to an actually MP3 recording of the Bohemian Grove's Cremation of Care ceremony from July of 2000. Let's just see what it is.
And in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, "Midsummer sets us free." Ye shall burn me once again. Now but leave flame, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire. Wow. Great son of all mortal wisdom, Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel.
Okay, pretty weird. Couldn't understand a lot of what they're saying. Um, it just sounded like a play, but it's kind of creepy when you think about all these men getting together and putting on plays for each other. Little weird. Okay, so woe unto America. Many of our nation's highest leaders worship Satan and are willing servants of evil. They are controlled by Satan, the god of this world. 2 Corinthians 4:4. Satan controls these men through the occult. Well, if he's going to be bringing in Bible scriptures, why don't we go ahead and just read what he's putting in here? 2 Corinthians 4:4. In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. Jesus said, In secret have I done nothing, John 18:20, because he had nothing to hide. Why the secrecy from our nation's top leaders? That makes a good point. If you have nothing to hide, why are you being so secretive? Um, Skull and Bones is of the devil. Um, we're going to add this to bookmarks because we are going to cover Skull and Bones at another time. And then there's also, the Freemasons who are also very weird. Um, my papa on my mom's side, he was a Mason, not very long, but I do know that he refused to talk about it. He just would not talk about anything that happened. So it's a bit strange. Now, I wasn't old enough to know about all this, but I've learned this as I got older. This is what my mom and then would tell me about him. So, nearly 2,000 carefully selected government officials, corporate tycoons, and other luminaries, men with power to shape the future, assemble privately every July in a redwood forest about 65 miles north of San Francisco. The meeting includes a somber ritual that features the druidic burning of a human effigy on the altar, chants from a roped chorus, and wild drinking and sexual promiscuity. Richard Nixon once famously described the gathering as the most faggy danged thing you could ever imagine. Those are not my words. The Bohemian Club, Bohos as they are informally called, meet annually for a time of mixed business and pleasure, making decisions that will shape our nation's future while sinfully indulging in homosexuality, cross-dressing, and debauchery. Um, there's a video that it links here, the 124 groups of Bohemian Grove. The United Nations and atomic bomb were birthed at Bohemian Grove. That's interesting.
Inside the Bohemian Grove, there are approximately 124 different groups or subcamps, each having their own sleeping quarters, kitchen, and bar, and each managed by a camp captain who is responsible for overseeing their group. Each different camp has its own unique name and consists of anywhere from a dozen to around 100 different men who tend to work in the same field to provide commonality and networking opportunities. For example, the Hillbillies Camp is made up of men in big business, banksters, and politicians from the state of Texas. The sign for the Hillbillies Camp, which the Bush family belongs to, by the way, consists of a cloven hoofed and horned devil figure. One of the most elite camps is called Mandalay, which is comprised of former presidents and other top political figures, along with major defense contractors. No seated president actually attends the summer encampment or the Cremation of Care, by the way, because his schedule and location is so closely monitored that his visitation would bring too much unwanted attention to the Grove.
That makes perfect sense. Not doing this while you're president. I did never really think about that. I'm not going to listen to the whole clip, but I never really thought about them not going because of being president and they can't do this in secret. But yeah, totally makes sense. The most bizarre pagan ritual of the Bohemian Grove, the Cremation of Care ceremony, is practiced by its members, all men, including both Presidents Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald, Obama, and McCain visited Bohemia. Did I read that right? Okay, I didn't. Including both Presidents Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, Alan Greenspan, Richard M. Nixon, Jimmy Carter, Walter Cronkite, Colin Powell, and Henry Kissinger, to name but a few. The meeting is held every July. It is purported that Obama and McCain visited Bohemian Grove in July of 2008. Well, that's not possible because Obama. Oh, that's right before he was elected president, isn't it? No. When was Obama elected president? Be 2006. No, I don't know. He was elected again in 2012, 11, 10, 9, 8, 2008. Okay, so yeah, right before he was elected president, or right after, before he was inaugurated. Um, no, no sitting U.S. president ever attends the Grove to avoid public scrutiny, as the president's every move is closely monitored by the media, albeit nearly every president attends the Grove before and after holding public office. World leaders and the occult. Okay. Here's information on the Grove's financial records, who are registered as a 501c7 nonprofit organization. Anyone who denies the satanic nature of Bohemian Grove is either stupid, woefully naive, or deliberately complicit. Many celebrity stooges in the news media, like Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, and Rush Limbaugh, are gatekeepers, influential people who protect the Grove by ignoring and downplaying the satanic, perverse, and treasonous activities of the club.
The Bohemian Grove is registered with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, as a 501c7 social club, which makes them exempt from federal income tax and possibly state property tax as well. One of the requirements for 501c organizations is that their financial records are made available to the public for inspection. If you know where to look, which I do, and I have been able to obtain these documents about the Bohemian Grove's financial records, and they are quite interesting. The 2013 records show that the club took in over $10 million in revenue that calendar year.
Okay, so if he has them, where are they? Because I'd like to see them. Because he says he has them, but he's not showing them to us, which makes me skeptical that he actually has that information. But if you're interested in knowing what the financial document said, you can look up this YouTube video. It's The Bohemian Grove is Tax Exempt Financial Records Leaked by Mark Dice. I wish that he would present what they look like, though, so we know for a fact that he's telling us what he's looking at. Moving on, in the following full-length documentary, filmed by syndicated radio host Alex Jones, you will learn the shocking truth about Bohemian Grove. Actual witches and warlocks, not members of the Grove, gather and dance outside the gates, praying to Satan, summoning demons to Bohemian Grove. It is a fiesta of occult activity. It is the evil equivalent to a prayer meeting of believers before Pentecost. In this case, it is witches and warlocks calling forth demons prior to the Bohemian Grove occult gathering. These are our nation's leaders worshiping a 40-foot owl. You couldn't make this stuff up. So if you're gonna watch any of these, so you have Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, you have Illuminati controlled Israel is the spiritual mother of harlots, Babylon the Great of Revelation 17. It's an MP3. And Order of Death, it's a sequel to Dark Secrets from Alex Jones. And where it says that there's witches and warlocks dancing, you'll find that in Order of Death around the 25 to 28-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up and see what we see here.
There's a little spell that we've been working since the election.
You mean the appointment?
That's right. Maybe you'll say it after me. It goes like this. Let power and resources flow. Let power and resources flow. To those who'll use them. To those who'll use them. For the good of the earth and her people. For the good of the earth and her people. And be withdrawn from those who won't. And be withdrawn from those who won't. Let's send that spell over into the...
What weirdos. Okay. What a bunch of freaking weirdos, honestly. If you're still doubting reality, the November 1989 edition of Spy magazine featured photos of Bohemian Grove men dancing around dressed up as women. The article included artist renditions of the Molech idol and discussed how they busted male prostitutes and how AIDS is a big problem. In July of 2004, a New York Post article reported how a top gay porn star, Chad Savage, serviced the moguls at the Bohemian Grove. Bigwigs who have attended the 2-week retreat include George H.W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Alan Greenspan, Walter Cronkite, Newt Gingrich, Alexander Haig, Jack Kemp, Henry Kissinger, Colin Powell, John Major, William F. Buckley, Justin Dart, William Randolph Hearst, Jr., Caspar Weinberger, Charles Percy, George Shultz, Edward Teller, and former CIA Director William Casey. The Canaanite deity Molech was worshipped in Greece, Babylon, and later in Europe. It is normally symbolized by a bull or an owl or some type of horned beast, and children are sacrificed to it. It is the precursor of all modern death cults. What purpose does this all serve? Having world leaders congregate and engage in an ancient Canaanite ritual of mock child sacrifice. It is a way of binding them together. Nowhere is the origin of the cult more evidenced than the former German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt's own autobiography, Men in Power, A Political Retrospective. He talks about how they have their own German groves where they do Druidic rituals, but his favorite place to do the rituals is at Bohemian Grove. This is a book you can get at the library written by Schmidt. He talks about the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, and world government. He says that much of the decisions are made at the Bohemian Grove. The CEO of IBM, Thomas J. Watson, was a member of Bohemian Grove, a position that was shared by his good friend, the fascist totalitarian leader of the Nazi regime, namely Adolf Hitler. IBM Germany, known in those days as De Homag or whatever, was totally and utterly immersed in the Nazi war rollout. Nearly every Nazi concentration camp operated a Hollerith department known as the Hollerith Abteilung. I don't know if I said that right or not. The 5-digit Hollerith number and customized punch card system devised by IBM was software programming in its earliest forms. These Hollerith machines computerized the civil and slave labor resources allowing for streamlining of the process. These IBM least tolerant machines matched worker skills and locations with labor needs during the building of the Nazi war machine. The prisoner was worked until he was exhausted and then exterminated by gas or bullet. Fast forward to today, IBM Credit Corp is funding the parent company of the Bear Chip, Applied Digital Solutions. In this ceremony, oh, well, hang on. Let's see. What is Bear Chip? Probably a chip they're going to put inside you. Obamacare health plan lays foundation for mass microchipping. Well, that didn't happen, so we won't even bother reading it. In the ceremony, a giant 40-foot owl is worshipped and a mock human being is sacrificed in effigy. The occult has always been synonymous with idolatry and Satanism. David Rockefeller is also a member of the satanic group. Arnold Schwarzenegger has also attended its meetings. Bohemian Grove is believed to be an offshoot of the Nazi-based Skull and Bones, officially known as the Order of Death. There's a video, it's called Illuminati 911. And then there's Martial Law 911, Rise of the Police State. Um, the last part of the second video I just mentioned exposes the Nazi roots of the Bush family. So, Illuminati 911, it's 2 hours long. Um, I don't know. It says in this 86-minute volcanic video, former FBI chief agent Ted Gunderson blows the lid off the FBI's involvement in the '93 Trade Center bombing. They set it up. Illuminati historian Jordan Maxwell, publisher Clayton Douglas at the Free American, Gunderson, and Anthony J. Hilder are calling the attack at the U.S. an inside job. America has been suckered one more time. This video will shake and shock you into a reality check. And I'm assuming that the second one here, Martial Law 911, is unavailable on YouTube, so good luck, you can't watch it. I don't know where else you could get that. Um, and then Alex Jones has another video documentary called Masters of Terror, and it's also 2 hours long if you want to check that one out. Clearly, we don't have time to do that. Isaiah 42:14 and 17 say, I have long time hidden my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that say to the molten images, ye are our gods. Please understand that I don't condemn anybody for their sins, for we are all held serving sinners in God's eyes. The Bible condemns all humanity in Romans 3, verses 10 through 23. Jesus came to save sinners. My intent is not to judge anyone, but rather to expose the occult groups and satanic powers behind the New World Order. Truth is stranger than fiction. God condemned Molech worship and human sacrifice in the Bible. Why would our nation's leaders worship a 40-foot owl god, clearly Molech, and that's also its name? Um, they offer up mock human sacrifices at Bohemian Grove, but God condemns such wickedness. Leviticus 20, verses 2 and 3 says, Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones, and I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. God never changes. God hates the same sins today that he did in ancient times. Molech worship has survived for millenniums and is still widely practiced throughout the world today. Um, so the Illuminati, who are they, is another one that you could check out if you want to know who the Illuminati is. Um, I I really enjoy things about the Illuminati because I know it's a real, society, elite group of people, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's really, I don't know, it's really, really creepy, honestly, when you think about it. There was a 1981 news report about Bohemian Grove here. Let's listen to a bit of it.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games. Steve Shepard has this special assignment report.
More than 2,000 members of San Francisco's exclusive and all-male Bohemian Club have once again descended on Northern California. The Grove is the Bohemian Club's summer retreat.
Well, each year, many of them seem to have a stunt or try to come up with a stunt. Last year, in 1980, the popular button was Free the Fortune 500.
Okay, nothing too exciting. We'll keep going. So, cross-dressers at Bohemian Grove. The Bohemian Club publishes annals um, con- containing photos of members, some of effeminate men dressed in drag. Deuteronomy 22:5 says, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God." So there's a photo here from the Bohemian Club Yearbook, volume number 7, which is from 1986 or 1987 to 1996. Um, he writes, "I agree with Alex Jones that the Bohemian Club is a way to compromise influential people, getting them to commit lewd sex acts to debase themselves, partaking in filthy cross-dressing, homosexuality, sex orgies, nudity, and bestiality. These are our nation's top leaders and most powerful leaders in media, banking, medical, education, clergy, and military." The owl and Luciferianism. So I think we discussed this on Tuesday about the little owl symbol on that dollar bill. So, the Bohemian Club is a rich man's organization that holds a 2-week camp in Northern California every year at the end of July. This strange and secretive group, which have received very little press coverage. Okay, so each year, approximately 1,500 of America's most influential CEOs, government officials, financiers, industrialists, and media moguls gather to hear speeches, network, and share common agendas. They also perform druid like ceremonies. Romans 1:22 and 23 says, "Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools, and change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things." To help you lose a little more sleep tonight, take a look at what's hidden at every U.S. $1 bill. That's right, an owl. There is a small owl just to the left of the one which appears on the upper right-hand corner of the dollar bill. But what does the owl symbolize? The owl is a symbol of wisdom. Owls can see in the dark, they can see what we cannot see. Likewise, members of the Illuminati are privileged to information that is hidden from the general public. The owl is a nocturnal bird of prey with strong talons. The owl has been associated with wisdom, books, occult knowledge, shamanism, and other spiritual matters. As mentioned, the owl is a bird of the night, so an association with the moon is also suggested. They have short tail feathers and are silent in flight, stealth-like. They seem curious about things, but are happy to sit and wait until the time is right to obtain their goals, catch or conquer their prey. The demon goddess Lilith is represented throughout history as an owl. A study of the demon goddess of Lilith will reveal the dark secrets behind the owl of Bohemian Grove. Few magical orders exist dedicated to the undercurrent of Lilith and deal in initiations specifically related to the arcana of the First Mother. Two reputable organizations that progressively use initiations and magic associated with Lilith are the Ordo Antichristi Antichristianus Illuminati and the Order of Phosphorus. Author Joshua Seraphim has written 3 texts associated with the egregor. Is that how you say that? Egregor? Egregor? I think it's egregor of Lilith entitled Rite of Lilith, Confessions ex Lilitu, and The Lamentations of Lilith. If I'm having a hard time reading it, guys, I'm sorry. It's because I'm getting the little headache, dizzy spots from my sinuses. And it's like part of the words are blacked out in one eye. Lilith appears as a succubus in Aleister Crowley's De Arte Magica. Lilith was also one of the middle names of Crowley's first children, Ahathur Hakati Sappho Jezebel Lilith Crowley. What a name, that poor child. She is sometimes identified with Babylon in Thelemic writings. A Thelemic rite based on an earlier German rite offers the invocation of Lilith. It's an article of how to summon Satan. Read here about the wicked witchcraft of Lilith and how it relates to the owl. So, just in case people are unaware who Aleister Crowley is, he was the master Satanist of the 20th century, and he was famous for saying, "Do as thou wilt," which actually came from Benjamin Franklin. Um, anyway, he's really creepy. Okay, very, very weird man, and basically just thought you should be able to do whatever it is that you want to do in life. He was a humanist, basically. Um, I couldn't pull that up, really. Okay. Well, let's see. Um, not that I mean, I'm just kind of curious, so I want to look it up. So it is a spell. Um, emanations of, well, maybe I shouldn't read that out loud. If you want to read it, you can go ahead. Pause it, read it yourself. Okay. So Lilith is the mythological first wife of Adam. She, like Adam, was created by God from the dust of the earth. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he them, being the first reference to human life in the Bible. It would seem that Eve came later, fashioned from a rib taken from Adam while he slept before Eve. Just so you know, this is not true. This is what anybody who is in the Church of Satan believes. This is to be called woman, for this was taken from man. This strange anomaly can only be explained by assuming that there is a female human before Eve. Since only Eve is subsequently present in the Garden of Eden, her predecessor must have departed before Eve's arrival on the scene. One can only assume that Lilith's near total absence from the Judeo-Christian Bible is a matter of prejudice on the part of the male patriarchal authors. So this is coming from Aleister Crowley. This is what he was writing. Semitic legend describes Lilith as having a base nature and a taste for biting Adam and drinking his blood. She had refused to submit to Adam's authority and a preference for being on top, and in a fit of pique, she uttered the ineffable name of God and flew up into the air, only to be cast down by God into the desert waste where she took up residence. The only mention of Lilith by name in the Standard Christian Bible is in Isaiah, where a passing reference is made about her living in the desert. Lilith is described as either a winged serpent or a screech owl, or an anthropomorphic combination thereof, who murders infants. It would appear from the perspective of modern medicine that infants who succumb to sudden infant death syndrome would have been thought to have been victims of Lilith, and who torments men at night who sleep alone, the original succubus. In modern mythology, Lilith has become a symbol to many feminists of the independent woman who refuses to submit to the control of men. While this is certainly an aspect of her egregore, I gotta know if I'm saying that right. There is a strong sexual component to Lilith's nature that must also be recognized. She is more than just an uppity woman. She is the power of primal lust in the female form. And also, she is death, and this cannot be ignored when working with her magically. Okay, I have to know if I'm saying this word right, because if not, it's gonna drive me nuts. So, we're just gonna check it out and see. Be a lesson for all of us, right? So it's an occult concept. It's pronounced egregore. 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 It's a term used by members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Kabbalistic Order of Rosicrucians to describe the personality a group takes on independent of its own members. Learn something new every day. Did you read that? Lilith is described as either a winged serpent or a screech owl who murders infants. So in these two photos, the left photo, it's priest at Bohemian Grove 2000 set fire to their sacrifice of a human effigy, which screams in pain over loudspeakers to the cheers of onlookers across the lake. The right drawing is the pagan god of Molech, where children were burned alive throughout the Old Testament as a sacrifice in the belly or oven of Molech. The Antichrist is coming, but Satan is already here. A 2006 occult work by ceremonial magician Donald Tyson, titled Liber Lilith, details the secret cosmology for the mother of harlots and spawn of all nightbreed monsters, Lilith. The book proclaims itself as saved from the ashes of Dr. Dee's library at Mortlake in the 1580s. Anyone reading the latest issue from The Loins of Starfire, Liber Lilith by Donald Tyson. For those who don't know, this is the latest grimoire rediscovered under the title of Creative Occultism. It follows in the august footsteps of those necronom what? Necronomicons, whatever that is. I mean, I know what necromancy is, but from the 70s. This one advertises itself as a Gnostic grimoire, and its author has an excellent track record as a publishing and practicing occultist. Liber Lilith proclaims itself as saved from the ashes of Dr. Dee's library at Mortlake in the 1580s and gives the secret cosmology of the mother of harlots. Originally cited as the first wife of Adam, dumped because she liked to play top position. Anyhow, it gives the rights for taking her as lover and guide, along with warnings of descent into madness. Okay, so that page is not found. That page is not found. A lot of links broken. Just as Lilith is the demonic god of Bohemian Grove, so is Baphomet, the son of Lucifer, and Lilith, the demonic god of Freemasonry. Do you see how all these demonic occult organizations are linked together? In modern Luciferianism, Lilith is considered a consort and or an aspect of Lucifer and is identified with the figure of Babylon. She is said to come from the mud and dust and is known as the queen of the succubi. When she and Lucifer mate, they form an androgynous being called Baphomet or the goat of Mendes, also known in Luciferianism as the god of witches. And I don't know if the Church of Lucifer and the Church of Satan are two different churches or if they are interchangeable. I don't know. Bohemian Grove is rooted in Luciferianism. The writings by Michael Ford, The Foundations of the Luciferian Path, contends that Lilith forms the Luciferian Trinity composed of her, Samael, and Cain. Likewise, she is said to have been Cain's actual mother as opposed to Eve, but through her. Lilith here is seen as a goddess of witches, the dark feminine principle, and is also known as the goddess Hecate. Black witchcraft, the foundations of the Luciferian path. So, Hecate was a goddess in ancient Greek religion and mythology, most often shown holding a pair of torches, a key, snakes, or accompanied by dogs, and in later periods depicted in triple form. She is variously associated with crossroads, entranceways, night, light, magic, witchcraft, knowledge of herbs and poisonous plants, ghosts, necromancy, and sorcery. In case you were wondering who she was. Yeah, a lot of broken links. So, after traveling from Austin, Texas to San Francisco, Alex Jones and the other members of his team, Violet Nichols and Mike Hansen, met up with the British filmmakers and began a 3-day investigation before attempting to enter the grove. On July 15, 2000, Alex Jones and Mike Hansen, equipped with 2 hidden video cameras and disguised as members of the Bohemian Club, successfully infiltrated the elite cult compound. The following detailed report of what they found is absolutely shocking. Um, so the priest talked about goodly Tyre and Babylon. Well, there's only one great owl of Babylon and goodly Tyre. If you read your Bible or any historical document of the time, they were burning children in the Babylonian and Canaanite kingdoms before the owl god Molech. Suddenly, again we had initially been misdirected from the owl by the activities behind the curtains across the bank. Then we were paying attention to the owl and the priest on the island. Back on the West Bank, there was an old-fashioned river-style boat with that grim reaper character who had been driving the wagon, and he was pulling himself across the water with the bound body up on the bow. He brought the bound body to the high priest, who was waiting for it at the foot of the owl, at the bottom of the large circular steps on which the owl sits. Then, in very macabre fashion, the 2 black-clad priests rubbed and caressed the sacrificial body and brought it before the owl. The body begged for its life over a speaker system. They refused it mercy. They took it up onto the altar. The great owl told them to burn the body, which they called dull care, which looks like a human wrapped up in black cloth. Right above the altar there was a large stone lamp that was burning that they called the eternal flame. The high priest took an unlit torch and lit his torch with this flame. The body again begged for mercy. The high priest then walked down with some difficulty because his high priest was so old he could hardly even walk, and lit the pyre on fire. He began to say that he would read the signs in the remains, a deep occult tradition. This is not the Hollywood devil with red pajamas. This is the real deal Babylon mystery religion style. The body continued to scream in pain. Suddenly, all of those little metal crosses that we had seen along the bank during the day burst into flame. So I was there witnessing something right out of the medieval painter Hieronymus Bosch's Visions of Hell. Burning metal crosses, priests in red and black robes, with the high priest in a silver robe with a red cape, a burning body screaming in pain, a giant stone great horned owl, world leaders, bankers, media, and the head of academia engaged in these activities. It was total insanity. So the ritual ended, and all the old men started breaking up and going back to the big hall in the giant redwoods. Myself and Mike Hansen hightailed it out of there, walking at a brisk pace. We encountered no resistance when we left. We walked right by the guards and were out on the main road, Bohemian Avenue. It is a lot easier to get out of the grove than it is to get in, because a lot of these world leaders that you read about in the news leave the grove to go into small town Monterio. They go into the bars for prostitutes that are flown in from around the world to service them. Down the road, the British media was waiting to pick us up. They asked us, "Did you get it? Did you get it?" One of the producers, John Sargent, said, "You've done it, Alex. You've blown Bohemian Grove right open." There's so much more to this story that we don't have time to get into. I decided to have this interview transcribed and put on my website. So these are the words of Alice Jones. So everyone has heard the saying, wise as an owl, but do you know where this phrase comes from? The phrase comes from the goddess of wisdom, who is sometimes depicted as an owl. A simple web search using the terms owl and symbol turned up many references to owl as a symbol of the Greek Athena. In fact, the scientific name for owl is Athene noctua. Perhaps you have seen movies depicting the Greek goddess Athena and her pet owl. Athenian coins bore the likeness of Athena on one side and an owl on the other. Indeed, those coins were called owls. King Arthur's Merlin was always depicted with an owl on his shoulders. The owl is the unrivaled symbol of intelligence or wisdom. In the ancient mysteries, Athena was the owl and was the goddess of wisdom. Remember, Athena is another name for Semiramis, just in a different culture. It is also another name for Ishtar, aka Isis. The Bible makes references to men of wisdom being master builders. Isis was known as the goddess of towers, a master builder, and is also the goddess of wisdom. Therefore, an owl is a fitting representation of Isis. If you look carefully around Washington, D.C., you will find that many other government buildings which are pagan in architectural style have owl statues on them. Our country adopted most of its symbolism from the Egyptian mysteries, and therefore I am leaning toward believing that the owl is just another symbol of Isis to the high priest who designed the American mysteries. The owl in the Capitol. Now that's a really cool picture. So it's a satellite photo taken from a high resolution satellite called KH7 in 1966. And I see the shape of an owl. You got the two eyes, you've got the body. That's actually kind of cool. And it's the U.S. Capitol if you want to look it up. At the extreme eastern side of the Capitol, you can see two cul-de-sacs which are irregularly shaped. In fact, when you draw a bold black line carefully around these cul-de-sacs and continue the black line around the Capitol, you get the appearance of an owl, with the cul-de-sacs as its ears. This is not accidental either. Consider the symbolism of the owl. Were the founding fathers making the point that they believed the Capitol would be the seat of wisdom? So here's some fast facts about Bohemian Grove and their official logo of the Bohemian Club. It's the owl. So it was founded in 1872 by 5 American men. The club lies 75 miles out of San Francisco. The grove contains a massive pagan idol, Molech. There is a waiting list of 1,500 VIP eager to um, pay $2,500 for the initiation fee plus the yearly $600 bill. And I've heard that the waiting list at this point, I don't know when this was written, but as of today, the waiting list is like 20 plus years. The grove consists of some 2,700 acres of land, and their motto is "Weaving dealing spiders come not here." A phrase constructed by Shakespeare, which basically means leave your dirty business at the door. On the first Saturday of the camp, an elaborate ritual called the Cremation of Care is held just after dinner. It begins with a procession of a group of men dressed in red pointed hoods and red robes, some of whom play a funeral dirge while others carry torches. These men also carry a rough open coffin containing a body made of a black muslin covered wooden skeleton. According to Domhoff, G. William Domhoff, author of Bohemian Grove and Other Retreats, this is the body of care, symbolizing the concerns and woes that important men supposedly must bear in their daily lives. It is dull care which must be cremated. Mary Moore, a longtime Sonoma County activist who founded the Bohemian Grove Action Network, which has helped organize demonstrations outside the Grove since 1980, has been one of the boho's more rational critics. The network's website at www.sonomacountyfreepress.com contains a complete listing of all the public policy speeches that have been given by major figures over the years, including Dick Cheney's 1991 speech, Defense Problems of the 21st Century. Moore, a staunch leftist, is adamant that the annual retreat has to do with more than just fun and games. Yeah, that's what I've heard, that they do a lot of business stuff there. So this is just a list of some of the known members of Bohemian Grove, which We've already covered most of them, but there's also Stephen Bechtel of Bechtel Corps. There's Tom Johnson, the president of CNN. Um, Charles Scripps, the Scripps Howard newspaper publishers. And a host of prominent CEOs and business leaders, most of them conservative, many of them from California, 99% of them white men. The Bohemian Club was founded in 1873. By the turn of the 20th century, there was already a 10 to 15-year waiting list for club membership. And I believe it's actually 1872. I'm not sure. It gave me two different dates. Upon closer inspection, the entire federal government is saturated with Bohemian Grove members. Membership also includes top Wall Street executives. And that's it. So this is a photo of the police guarding one of the entrances to the Grove. So this quote here is from William Domhoff, the Progressive, January 1981. Bohemian bigwigs perpetuate Canaanite cult. So it says, the ceremony involves the burning of an effigy named Dol Care, who symbolizes the burdens and responsibilities these harried Bohemians now wish to shed temporarily. More than 100 Bohemians take part in the ceremony as priests, acolytes, torchbearers, brazier bearers, boatmen, and woodland voices, but despite many flowery speeches, they can't get the fire started. The perplexed Bohemians must turn to the mighty owl for advice. O thou great symbol of all mortal wisdom, owl of Bohemia, we do beseech thee, grant us thy counsel, intones the high priest. An aura of light creates a glow around the owl's head, and then the big bird reveals its wisdom. The high priest must light the pyre with the flame from the lamp of fellowship, located conveniently enough on the altar of Bohemia at the base of the shrine. So this is a photo of the front cover of the program for the year 2000. It's got the great stone owl, the lit lantern, and the human skeleton on the altar before the owl. Oh, I see it. Yep. From page 243, German counselor Helmut Schmidt addresses the elite of the world at a lakeside talk. We discussed him doing this in Tuesday's episode. He also says that he has been an active participant in bringing in world government. Mr. Schmidt also said in his book that leaders from globalist bodies travel to the Grove every summer. He talks about secret groves in Germany where they do druidic rituals, but indicates that Bohemian Grove is his favorite place to participate. So the National Press Club was established in Washington, D.C. in 1908, soon after elites and journalists on the West Coast established the Bohemian Club. Membership includes newsmakers in addition to news reporters, including 17 consecutive presidents of the United States. Most have lectured in the club's restaurant, and both Carter and Reagan announced their candidacies for president at the Grove. Mystical symbolism and NPC's logo reveal influence from Bohemian Grove's owl shrine, lantern, and the Illuminati's illuminated rays of sunlight. I may have to cut this into a third part. This is getting quite long. So we talked about the dollar bill already. Okay, so here's pictures of George Bush and Bill Clinton both doing the rock sign, or it's actually, think it's devil horns. There's signs of Satan, and apparently there's tons of different signs, hand signs for Satan. We can look at that at a later date. Then we have the number of the beast, which is 666. I don't quite know what this little chart is depicting. So if you can figure it out, let me know. So the letters on the base of the Illuminati pyramid stand for certain numbers, and all those numbers, when added up, equals 1776, the year the Illuminati formed. More than one method exists for arriving at 1776. However, there's only one way to arrive at the following sequence. The Babylonian numbering system was used by the Masonic designers of the Sill. That numbering system was not based on 10, but on 6. For example, 600 would be 1000, 60 would be 100, and 6 would be 10. The occult is Trinitarian, i.e., its main teachings are grouped in threes. The number sequence 93 and 93, 93, or 660 and 6 is the current of the new age of Aquarius. The water bearer, which heralds the end of the age of Pisces, the fishes, an early symbol of Christianity, in the teachings of the Order of the Eastern Templars, or OTO. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about the skull and bones, but I'm not going to get into skull and bones. So this says actual photos taken from a satanic ritual on June 1st, 2016, commemorating the opening of the Goddard Tunnel, the 6,000-foot underground 35.5-mile tunnel composed of 6 sections, took 17 years to complete, boring through the Swiss Alp Mountains. Notice the 6 eyes inside and 6 eyes outside, and the all-seeing eye in the center. In the creepy photo below, I censored the female breast on Baphomet for decency. This is creepy stuff, to say the least. Yeah. Bottomless pit? Don't know what that is. Okay, so we're not going to cover any of the Freemason stuff that it talks about, but let's mention child sacrifice and the occult, since that is what they're doing. So, do you think it is mere fun and games that corporate media, educational, and world leaders gather each year at the Bohemian Grove event in California to sacrifice a human being in effigy? Is it really an effigy? What kind of sickos would even pretend to offer a human being in fiery sacrifice to a 40-foot statue? Um, Jeremiah 32:35 says, "And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination, to cause Judah to sin." Child sacrifice, sexual molesting, and torture is a heathen practice that has been common to nearly every civilization throughout the dark history of mankind. 1 John 5:19 teaches that the world has always been a wicked place. Numerous bestseller books and public interviews are available online, which delve into the morbid details for the curious. Some Christians prefer to hide their head in the sand like an ostrich, instead of learning the truth, so they can have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Ephesians 5:11. Without Jesus Christ, anybody can become a monster. So this is a campaign against the government's pedophile rings at Glastonbury Festival in 2003. And there's a bunch of different stories. Senator Nancy Schaefer murdered by the New World Order for exposing CPS pedophile ring. That would be interesting. Um, So CPS case workers are often guilty of fraud. Their whole goal is to terminate the parental rights. Literally, orders are placed by pedophile elite for the type of child they want to purchase and abuse. Huh. Walter Mondale started child confiscation, and Bill Clinton expanded upon it, enabling the $12 billion a year, $12 billion a year lucrative sale of children through corrupt child protection services, which Senator Nancy Schaefer explains on The Alex Jones Show. Absolutely no attempt is made by CPS to restore the family unit. Instead, CPS workers for cash often take the child, even removing a baby from its mother's breast, and the child is never seen again. Well, I can attest to CPS being very corrupted. I actually can. Banned from television, top leaders and wealthy sexually abused children through system. Foster workers are 5 times more likely to abuse children than at home where they belong. Beware of nationwide CPS pedophile network. Eagle Forum Senator Nancy Schaefer murdered for exposing um, its illegal kidnapping, she called it, and CPS steals children for profit. Your tax dollars in action. I'm going to add all of these because maybe one day I'll talk about CPS and how crappy they are. Because they are. No man in the wrong can stand up against a fellow that's in the right and it keeps on a comin'. It's the motto of the Texas Rangers. So, Aleister Crowley, he initiated to the highest levels of Freemasonry, infamous Luciferian worshiper and occult high priest of the Golden Dawn. Crowley said, "A white male child of perfect innocence and intelligence makes the most suitable victim." In the U.S. each year, 400,000 children are reported missing. In the UK, 98,000 children are reported missing. Um, we're almost done. So, Pan's Labyrinth. Now, that is a movie if you haven't seen it. And it does, says anyone who is familiar with Satanism and the occult knows that Pan is the pagan god of sexual fertility, lust, homosexuality, rape, and pedophilia. Many statues of Pan display him with an erection. Wiccans adore Pan more than all other false gods that they worship. I've never seen that movie. I didn't know that's what it was about, though, to be honest. But most of all, I never watched it because it's in another language. Um, we also have a link here about world leaders and the occult, but I'm not going to read any of these. Um, but this link here, opium, real reason for Afghanistan war. Monday, I will cover this because I am going to talk about what's going on in Afghanistan on Monday. So we will cover this for sure. Um, so these are just some of just recent articles that David J. Stewart has written. So I'm telling you, um, you should definitely go check out this website because it's actually very, very interesting, and I really enjoy it. Um, this is the yeah. I guess another time we can go over world leaders and the occult and the Illuminati and Skull and Bones. We'll eventually go over, but I did want to take a second um, to just scroll through these photos. And as I'm scrolling, I will wrap up the episode. So if you're a blind viewer, obviously you won't be able to see them, but um, maybe you can go onto the YouTube and onto the YouTube. That sounded very boomer. You can go onto YouTube and take a look at the photos if you want. I have put a link in the description box also to be able just to pull up these photos. So I want to thank y'all for being with me today and taking the time to learn more about Bohemian Grove. I find it all very interesting and creepy as well, but just this kind of stuff really intrigues me to know like what people are really doing in secret and just how creepy and untrustworthy people can really be, especially our leaders and people of prominent position. So I definitely want to do something like this again. And like I said, we are going to cover Skull and Bones and the Illuminati eventually. We'll get there. Secret societies, right? Anyway, thank you for joining me today. And please join my Facebook, Lauren Collins. I just got to say something. Email me, gotta say something 21 at gmail.com. Join my subreddit r/just gotta say something. Also, don't forget, I have left a link in the description box to my merch. Right now, it's just the black t-shirt, but I am about to get it set up where you can order a long sleeve t-shirt, a hoodie, a women's tee, anything like that. And please also in the description box go to my petition, Protect Women in Prisons, and please sign it. We're we're a quarter of the way there. I really would like to get the 100 signatures, so if you could help me out, that would be great. If you're a blind viewer, you can find me on Anchor, Spotify, Pandora, Google, Stitcher, any platform you like to listen to podcasts on. Please go and subscribe to the podcast and leave me a review. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and share this video. Share it with everybody that you know, especially the ones you think that would be interested in watching it. Leave me a comment and I will get back to you. But most importantly, please subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to build up my supporter base, and it would really help if you would subscribe if you enjoy it. And also click the notification bell so you know every time that I upload a new video. And don't forget, please subscribe to The Scott Ford Show, Isaac Hayes, the Cajun Conservative, and his Christian podcast, Brothers Just Searching, Nate Savage at Savage 5050, and TV's Rob is Unwoke. Anyway, that's it for today. Please, please check out the episode tomorrow. It's a very special episode, and it really meant a lot to me that I was given permission to do it. So please, please check it out on the podcast platforms Anchor, Pandora, Spotify, wherever. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day. God bless.